The sun blazed down on the outskirts of Phoenix, Arizona. At the end of a gravel-strewn lot filled with old cars awaiting repair, stood a repair shop called The Fortress. It was more of a base than a place of business. The owner was Jack Tombstone Dalton, a man whose very name evoked the smell of gunpowder and steel. Nearing 50, his frame remained like a taut bowstring, his buzz-cut graying, and his eyes held the calm expression of someone who had seen life and death. A veteran sergeant major in the Army's Green Beret, he used his retirement savings and pension to open this shop, seeking peace and a clean break from the past. The shop's most striking decoration was a meticulously maintained, aged M9 bayonet hanging on the wall, with the words, "Peace through superior firepower," nailed below. On a sleepily peaceful Tuesday afternoon, Jack lay beneath an old Chevrolet pickup truck, struggling with a rusted bolt. A faint cacophony of country music played from the radio, and the air was thick with the scent of oil, gasoline, and hot metal. Suddenly, a sharp, piercing sound of tires screeching and a desperate roar of an engine approached from afar, rudely shattering the afternoon tranquility. Then came a heavy crash, and the horrific sound of twisting metal. Jack slid out from under the car like a cheetah, swift and silent. He grabbed a heavy crowbar nearby and silently moved to the garage door, peering through the gap. He saw an expensive silver BMW 7 Series sedan, its doors riddled with bullet holes, slumped against a guardrail not far from his shop, its hood billowing with white smoke. The driver's door flung open, and a woman stumbled out. She looked to be in her 30s, wearing a perfectly tailored couture suit, now stained with dust and blood. Her once elegantly styled hair was now disheveled, her face pale, her eyes filled with utter fear and a fierce instinct for survival. The heel of one of her silver high heels had broken, causing her to stumble as she ran. Even in this state of disarray, she still exuded an aura of elite status. Almost instantly, two black Dodge Charger muscle cars roared towards them, screeching to a halt. 8 fierce-looking men, dressed in streetwear, wielded pistols, one even holding a sawed-off shotgun. Without hesitation, they leveled their weapons at the woman. "Catch that bitch! The boss wants her alive!" roared a bald, burly man in their lead. The woman looked around desperately, then spotted the open door of the Fortress repair shop. As if it had found her only hope, she ran desperately towards it. Jack Dalton's pupils constricted slightly. Assessing the situation, 8 armed men, prepared, brutal, a helpless civilian, his territory. Without hesitation, just as the bald, muscular man was about to seize the woman, Jack flung open half of the heavy metal door. "This way! Quick!" His voice was deep and forceful, an unquestionable command. The woman rushed through the door like a bullet, collapsing on the ground, panting heavily. Jack quickly pulled her behind a pile of tires and shouted, "Hold on!" 4 gunmen had already rushed to the door, attempting to force their way in. Jack gave them no chance. He slammed a nondescript button on the door's edge. The heavy hydraulic shutter door slammed down, instantly crushing the 2 men in the lead, sealing off the inside and outside. Almost as the door slid shut, he grabbed a can of carburetor cleaner and a lighter, his homemade flamethrower for dealing with stray dogs and other troublemakers, leaning against the wall, and sprayed them at the gunmen trying to peer through the crack in the door. The brief burst of flames and the pungent smell sent them scrambling back. "Damn it! Break it open!" the thugs outside yelled furiously. Jack ignored the shouting. He crouched down and looked at the terrified woman. "Name?" Amelia Watson," the woman said, her voice trembling as she struggled to calm herself. "The CEO of Watson Technologies. They're from the Sonora Cartel. They wanted one of my company's encryption technologies to launder money. I refused. and they wanted to silence me. She spoke quickly, her logic clear, revealing the qualities of a true business leader. Jack nodded, his face expressionless. Stay here. He stood up and walked behind an old tool cabinet. He moved it aside, revealing a trapdoor in the floor. He pulled it open, revealing a small arsenal, several AR-15 rifles, several Glock pistols, ammunition, and even a few defensive grenades. This was his doomsday stockpile, something he never expected to actually use. He expertly inspected an AR-15 and a pistol, then handed the pistol to Amelia. Do you know how to use it? Amelia looked at the guns, took a deep breath, and nodded firmly. I learned at the range. Good. The safety is here. Don't shoot unless they come rushing in. Jack's voice was eerily calm. We need to buy time until the police. The banging on the door outside intensified. The heavy rolling shutter began to buckle. Jack quickly walked to the rear window and glanced in. Sure enough, the other two gunmen had circled the backyard, attempting to break through from behind. Change of plan, Jack decided quickly. We can't get stuck here. Follow me. He led Amelia through the cluttered workshop to a reinforced back door. On the count of 3, I'll rush out and head straight for that old red pickup truck. He pointed out the window at a weathered-looking Ford F-150. It's my emergency vehicle, and the engine never fails. 1, 2, 3. Jack kicked open the back door and simultaneously tossed a stun grenade, one of his collection. Boom! A loud bang and a blinding white flash momentarily incapacitated the gunmen in the backyard. The two of them sprinted towards the pickup truck like arrows from a bow. Jack jumped into the driver's seat, and Amelia nimbly leaped into the passenger seat. The engine roared to life. The gunmen at the front door, having heard the commotion, had already circled around, bullets pinging against the pickup truck's hull. Jack yanked the steering wheel, his tires gouging clouds of dust in the sand. He spun out to avoid the incoming fire and headed back toward the highway. 2 Dodge Chargers roared in pursuit. A thrilling chase across the desert highway began. Jack displayed the driving skills of a Special Forces instructor, using the terrain and abandoned vehicles for cover, narrowly avoiding collisions and gunfire. Amelia clung to the handrail, her face pale, but her eyes determined, occasionally checking the position of the vehicles behind her according to Jack's instructions. We can't lead them into the city, Jack shouted, slamming on the accelerator and heading towards the more remote desert areas. He exploited a blind spot behind a sand dune, slammed the brakes to a stop, and quickly got out. Get out! Take cover! The first Dodge Charger in pursuit rushed past without braking. Jack knelt on one knee, raised his AR-15, and fired a few precise short bursts. Bang, 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 blasting out its tires and the hood of the second vehicle. The vehicle spun out of control, sending up a cloud of dust. The remaining gunmen climbed out of their cars and tried to put up a last-ditch effort. But, in front of Jack, a former Special Forces instructor, they were like children with toy guns. Jack, using the terrain for cover, fired accurately, quickly neutralizing their combat effectiveness, wounding their arms or legs, rendering them ineffective. However, adhering strictly to the rules of engagement, he avoided targeting vital areas. In the distance, the blare of police sirens grew closer. The distress signal and location information Amelia had secretly sent from her phone finally worked. A motorcade of state troopers, county sheriffs, and even several black Chevrolet Suburbans, foreshadowing federal involvement, roared in, quickly securing the scene and handcuffing the injured criminals. A senior agent in an FBI trench coat approached. Jack had already laid his weapon on the ground and raised his hands to identify himself. Jack Dalton, former Special Forces? The agent verified his identity, his tone tinged with respect. "Miss Watson has outlined the situation. Well done, Mr. Dalton. You've rescued a key witness and helped us apprehend a key operative from the Sonora cartel. We've been targeting these individuals for a long time." The subsequent investigation and legal proceedings quickly unfolded. Amelia Watson provided crucial evidence, including secretly recorded threatening audio recordings and the company's extortion data. As a key witness and participant in the case, Jack cooperated with all inquiries. His actions were ruled to be self-defense and the act of protecting another's life. Not only was he not held responsible, but he was even thanked by law enforcement. A few days later, Amelia Watson returned to the Fortress Auto Repair Shop. She had regained her former radiance, though her eyes held a calmness that came with having experienced life and death. She was accompanied by a lawyer carrying a briefcase. "Mr. Dalton," she said sincerely, "I don't know how to thank you enough. You saved my life. This is my personal lawyer. Whatever you need, . Jack interrupted her, wiping his hands with a greasy cloth. "Miss Watson, I don't want payment. This is my choice." He pointed to the words on the wall. "Superior fire brings peace. Sometimes, it means the determination to stop evil." Amelia followed his gaze and saw the M9 bayonet and the words. She was silent for a moment, then pulled an elegant business card from her purse and placed it on the nearby workbench. "I understand, but if you change your mind, or just need a friend for coffee, feel free to call me." She paused, then added, "Also, Watson Technologies is forming a new security advisory board. We need people who truly understand how to protect value through practical action, not consultants who can only write PowerPoint presentations. I hope you'll consider it." Jack examined the business card, then looked into Amelia's sincere eyes, and finally nodded slightly. After Amelia left, the shop returned to its usual tranquility. Jack picked up the rusted bolt he hadn't finished tightening and continued working. Only occasionally would his eyes glance at the neat business card and the cold bayonet on the wall. Outside, traffic flowed as usual, as if the intense chase had never happened. But something had quietly changed. The rusted wrench protected the delicate high heels, and the laws of the desert once again proved their simple yet brutal effectiveness. This time, justice was served in the most direct and hardcore way through the hands of a veteran.